Title: Entitled Dad Threatens to Call Cops Over Lunchbox. This is my first post on Reddit, and I created my account specifically to post this story here, cause it's crazy. It takes place at my summer job at a day camp. I was and am a high school student at the time of writing this. I still work there, so I have to be a little careful about giving away too much and identifying the business. It was over a year ago too, so some of the finer details might be misremembered. The interaction is mainly between my boss, the head counselor, and the dad. The cast: Ed equals entitled dad, Mike equals my boss, the head counselor, Sam equals Ed's kid. I don't want to call him EK, as I really blame the parenting here, and he wasn't bad at all in this story. The other counselors and I, as I mentioned, I'm mostly an observer here, so it's the end of the day on Friday. Camp normally ends at 3, the counselors leave at 3:15, and Mike will stay with the kids in aftercare until the last kid gets picked up by 6. However, on Fridays, the counselors all stay late to clean up, usually until around 5 or 6. The kids in aftercare just play by themselves, or we put on some cartoons. Mike usually plays with them, but as mentioned, Friday is cleanup day. We are all cleaning up, and slowly the parents of kids in aftercare are trickling in to pick their kids up. Sam is just hanging out. Now, we had another kid in the camp, Isaac. His parents had already picked him up. He and Sam had the same model lunchbox. We didn't have a problem with this. Until today. Ed comes to pick up Sam, and goes to get his lunchbox from the table. He picks it up, marches to Mike and says, "This is not my kid's lunchbox." Mike sighs, and says calmly, "I'm sorry. We had another kid this week, Isaac, who had the same lunchbox. I guess that's Isaac's lunchbox you're holding." Ed scoffs and says, "Obviously. Now get my kid's lunchbox back," and starts to walk out with Isaac's lunchbox. Mike rushes forward saying, I can call Isaac's parents. But I'm going to need you to leave his lunchbox here." Ed, no. They have my kid's lunchbox, I have theirs. This is my insurance. I get my kid's lunchbox back. I will give it back when they give me my kids. I'll wait for them to come here. Mike is flabbergasted. All the counselors are listening, but pretending not to so we don't get involved. Mike, well, it might be a while to get a hold of Isaac's parents. They only left 5 minutes ago, so they could still be driving and not pick up the phone. Ed, well then. I'm not waiting. I'm leaving. You have my address. I give you my permission to give them my address and they can come my house and make the exchange. Mike, I can't let you leave premises with another kid's property. Ed, why not? You let that family leave with my kid's property. I don't think I've ever seen Mike more confused. Mike, that was an accident. I can't knowingly let you leave with that lunchbox. Ed, you guys are lucky I'm not calling the cops. Mike, I'm sorry. Ed, your negligence let another family steal my kid's lunchbox. Mike, starting to get a little upset. Sir. Mistakes happen. Again, I apologize for this inconvenience, but there was no crime committed here. This goes on for a few minutes. Eventually, Mike pulls a 1000 IQ move. He was studying to get his master's in elementary education. He knows how to handle temper tantrums. Cheeky smiley face. All right sir, I'll see what I can do. In the meantime, would you mind signing Sam out? He hands Ed a pen and a clipboard with the sign-out sheet. To sign it, Ed has to set the lunchbox down on the table. Ed of course doesn't notice, and falls for it. While he's signing Sam out, Mike quietly takes Isaac's lunchbox and sets it safely behind him. Ed never notices. Then, Mike checks the contact list, and calls Isaac's parents. His end of the conversation goes something like this: "Hi less than Isaac's mom greater than. This is Mike from less than camp name greater than. I believe I have Isaac's lunchbox here. Yeah, he and another kid had the same lunchbox, so you probably have his. No worries. When do you think you'll be able to drop it off?" "Oh. Really? No worries. See you shortly. Bye." He turns and looks at Ed. In an impressively calm voice, he states they will be back shortly to pick up Isaac's lunchbox. But they do not have Sam's. Isaac just forgot to grab his. It was so silent, you could hear a pin drop. The other counselors and I froze for a second, but managed to keep the facade of, "We're just working here, don't mind us." Ed freezes for a moment, unsure of what to do. I can see the little gears turning in his head. He comes to his epic conclusion, "Well then it must be here, genius." He starts tearing around the room, looking everywhere from the lunchbox table, to the play area, to the game shelves, to the office where the kids aren't even allowed in, everywhere. Mind you, we had been cleaning up, and so everything was very neat and tidy. While this is going on, Mike decides a different strategy. While Ed is dismantling the last hour of cleaning and tidying, Mike crouches down next to Sam. During all this, Sam had just been quietly playing with some toys. He was around 6. "Mike, hey buddy. Do you remember where you put your lunchbox?" Sam nods. "Mike, where is it?" "Sam, on the kitchen table." Everything stopped. The other counselors and I couldn't maintain our indifferent facade any longer. We just froze. Half of us staring at Sam, the other half glared at Ed. You don't talk to Mike, or anyone at this camp, like that and get away with it. Now, I briefly want to talk about Mike. He's probably one of the most chill, funniest, silliest teachers, counselors you could find. Absolutely perfect for a job like this. He could entertain the kids for hours, break up arguments, anything. He would put on these funny personas and act out scenes with them. He was also my first career mentor figure that I had, and gave me some great advice. If I was older, I'd say, he's the type one could grab a beer with. Just so relaxed and a great guy. He deserves all the praise in the world. I wish I could name him, but that would reveal too much. However, when he stood up, there was a look on his face I had never seen before. Gone was the silliness. Gone was the fun. Also gone was the tolerance for this Ed. In the most deadly calm voice that practically shouted anything but calm, he said, "Sam says his lunchbox is on the kitchen table. In your house. He says he never brought the lunchbox to camp today. The lunchbox isn't here." Ed once again freezes. His face goes white, then red, then blue. Guess he was still feeling some of that 4th of July spirit. He stutters for a bit, before turning to Sam. He said, "Now look at this. You've made me look stupid." It was at that moment I lost all little remaining respect for this guy. It was also the moment I felt bad for Sam. Throughout the week, Sam had been a less than stellar camper. He thrown tantrums, was entitled, didn't follow the rules very well, etc. All frustration I had for him was replaced by pity. He had been raised in a house where his father's mistakes and actions led to him being blamed. He had been raised by a man so entitled he would throw tantrums over a child's lunchbox. That's why I'm not calling him EK in this story. He deserves much better. Anyways, Mike manages to put a stop to that quickly by just stepping behind them and non-physically urging them towards the door. Ed doesn't get the memo and turns to Mike. I still had some hope Ed would apologize? Nope. Ed decided it was time for small talk. Ed, so Mike, you in college? A stunned Mike, yes. Ed, what are you studying? Mike, I'm getting my master's in elementary education. Ed, oh. Cool. What's that like? Mike, great. We learn how to deal with childhood behavior all the time, such as exploration of the world, strengthening communication skills, tantrums. He puts emphasis on the last part. Ed finally got the hint and walked out. We all looked at each other like, WTF just happened? Mike just shook his head, called his boss, the CEO, to tell her what happened just in case, and then we went back to normal. I later asked him about Ed, and he said that apparently the family is really wealthy and buys a spot for their kids for every week in the summer. Title: My cousin is probably entitled. My cousin SM, staff member. So my cousin recently got married and had a child, yay. However, both me and my mom have a feeling she is probably going to turn out as an entitled mother. 1. She refused to pick up her baby because he's too gloopy. 2. Whenever her 2-month-old child starts crying, she doesn't help the child because she doesn't want the child to be spoiled. WTF. So onto the actual story. My cousin wants to take her literal fifth major because of this one incident. One day she went to one of those big grocery stores in China which have a lot of random things. A lot of them have random things from pianos to actual groceries to scooters. So she went to one of those to buy baby clothes. She goes in and sees baby clothes that she likes and are in the correct size, but they fell on the floor and she picked them up. M calls over SMS. Hi, how can I help you? I want you to give me a different set of insert name of clothes. SM checks on a device if they have any more. She walked into the storage room and checked the device. By the way, I'm sorry ma'am, we don't have any more of those. Well, that's not good enough. These fell on the floor. Normally these floors are really well cleaned, so there might be a few specks of dirt on the clothing, and I demand that you bring me a new set or wash these for me now. SM I'm really sorry ma'am, but there are no new pairs, so I'm not sure how to help you. Well, you better import a new pair immediately, or I will give your supermarket a bad review. And that's the end of the story from what I heard. How do I know? Well, my cousin tells this to our family group chat bragging.